Today, we are going straight to the heart of the issue, the real one, the one nobody in power wants you to talk about. They don't want you to think about this. This is the root of the problem. Because before we can propose any solutions, we need to be honest and have a little bit of clarity about the system we've been forced to live under. I'm talking about the Fiat system, a system that has failed over and over in Argentina, in Venezuela, in Turkey, and of course, right here at home in Zimbabwe, multiple times, surprisingly many times, in living memory. So buckle up, because today's episode might sting a little. It might get me into trouble, if you know what I mean. But once you understand the root of the problem, you'll never be a normie again. You'll never see money the same way. Well, at least if you are smart. Uh, Before I start bashing Fiat, let's take a step back. What was there before all the chaos? Before inflation, before currency collapses, before people carrying bags of cash that couldn't buy bread? In other words, what exactly is a Fiat system? My definition of Fiat is because the government says so. That's the entire definition. Your money has value not because it is backed by anything, not because it represents gold or land or commodities, but simply because a central authority declares it to have value and forces you through a bunch of laws to use it. You will be arrested if you don't use it. Now, on paper, that sounds convenient. It sounds like a good idea. It sounds interesting. A government can create money when needed, manage the economy, and keep things stable, right? That's the theory. But here's the reality. Whenever a person is given the power to create unlimited money, he always creates too much of it. Always. It's not a Zimbabwean problem. It's not an African problem. It's a global problem. For example, the United States in 1971 under Nixon, which is exactly when we got introduced to fiat. Uh, for most of history, currencies were backed by gold. You couldn't print money freely. There were rules and a bunch of agreements. But in 1971, the United States decided, nah, we don't want rules anymore. They removed the dollar from the gold standard and introduced a pure fiat system. By they, I mean the government. Well, a few people in the government. There was no referendum for this. And since then, the US dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Now, imagine losing 85% of your wealth quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Would you say that's a good system? And another good example is Argentina. Argentina has had over nine currency collapses and a lot of bank crises. Their currency has lost so much value that people now save in US dollars under their mattresses. Venezuela is also another country that comes into mind when I talk about this. In Venezuela, hyperinflation became so bad that people used piles of notes as confetti. Salaries evaporated overnight. Supermarkets changed prices every hour. And of course, I can't talk about this without mentioning my favorite home country, Zimbabwe, the goat of currency failures. No offense to my bros. Zimbabwe experienced hyperinflation from 2006 to 2009, where prices doubled every 24 hours. I was very young back then, but I can remember it. We were using they used Zim dollar back then, and in 2008, current redenominations were done by removing three zeros, then nine zeros, then 12 zeros. You know that famous $100 trillion note, which couldn't buy a bus ticket, the biggest note in the world history. It might be the only thing Zimbabwe is known for in the world. But we then got introduced to the bond note in 2016. We were promised that it would be 1:1 with the US dollar. We all know how that went. And then we were also introduced to the RTGS. That was around 2019 or 2020, if I'm not mistaken. People's US dollar accounts were converted into this RTGS thing, and their bank balances became half, then one third, then one tenth of its value in no time. And today we are using the ZIG. The RBZ governor said it is backed by gold and a bunch of foreign currencies, but no one is buying that story. No one is buying it. It didn't take them a few months, and that thing was drastically devalued by them. And to think of it, the prices of gold has been skyrocketing this year, but our dear fiat currencies is stuck in the mud. We have lived through multiple cycles of currency collapses in one generation. Explain to me again how is this normal? Why does this keep happening? Because it's not corruption alone. It's not mismanagement alone, and it's not sanctions alone. Those things matter, of course, they matter, but they are symptoms. The root of the problem is the fiat system itself, a system where money can be created endlessly, without limit, without transparency, and without accountability. There is no world where unlimited printing leads to stability ever. And Zimbabwe is the ultimate proof. I want you to imagine something simple. Imagine you work hard, you save your money, you try to plan for your family's future, you put aside, say, $100 worth of local currency, then the government prints more money. Suddenly, uh, your $100 can buy $70 worth of goods, then 50, then 20. Who stole your wealth? They didn't break into your house, they didn't steal your bank card. Uh, they just simply pressed a button and the window went. And this is legalized theft done by your government. The fiat system is the machine that enables it. Let me talk about how this system works and why it always leads to the same result. Number one, we have the central bank, which is a monopoly on money creation. And in a fiat system, this one institution made up of a few people is total authority over the nation's money supply. If they decide to print more, they will print more. If they decide to devalue the currency, it becomes devalued there and then. If they decided to freeze accounts or change rules, redenominate, introduce bond notes, or create a new currency, there is nothing you can do. Yeah, the entire population is forced to accept that new money, even if it destroys their savings. And number two, governments always print more than they should. Why? Because printing money is the easiest way to pay for things, to pay civil servants, pay debts, fund projects, cover deficits, buy political time. It's easier to print money than to cut spending. It's also easier to print money than to raise taxes to cover the ever expanding government bills. But every printed note steals value from you, the everyday citizen who was that currency. Zimbabweans know this story too well. And one of the important things in a fiat system is confidence. But confidence, as you might know, confidence is fragile. A currency is like a marriage. When trust is gone, it's gone. Once people believe the currency will lose value, they rush to spend it. Prices rise, suppliers increase prices, workers demand higher salaries, savings move to other currencies like the US dollar, to the black market, to assets, to anything except the local currency. No one will want to accept it. This creates a self reinforcing cycle. And once trust is broken, no amount of speeches, ceremonies, or new banknotes can restore it. Zimbabweans have reached a point where we don't even need to think. We immediately convert whatever we can into US dollars or even rands. And I'm not saying those are safe options. Far from it. They are the same, but maybe a better devil. Why do we convert our money quickly? Because history has taught us not to trust fiat. One thing I always talk about is inflation, because in a fiat system, inflation punishes the poor. Inflation is like a tax, and poor people pay the highest price. The rich convert their money into assets. Businesses use the US dollar, but the ordinary worker, your teacher, the nurses, the vendors, drivers, students, they get paid in local currency. They are forced to hold it for long. They lose the most. The fiat system creates inequality by design. Uh, One other thing that I also have to talk about is savings. Savings die in a fiat system. Think about it. How many Zimbabweans still trust a savings account? All the money evaporates anyway. Some people have lived through losing savings during the 2008 era, losing their pension and insurance, losing them again during the USD to RTGS conversion in 2019, losing them again due to inflation in all those years. People no longer save, not because they don't want to save, but because the system punishes saving. Um, One last thing about fiat, which is the elephant in the room, is that fiat money encourages corruption. And this is not specific to Zimbabwe, but it's a known thing all over, including in the US or even in the UK. When money can be created out of thin air, those closest to the printer benefit the most. This is called the Cantillon effect. The first receivers of money get richer, while the rest get poorer and poorer. Uh, in Zimbabwe, we have seen this clearly. Those connected get foreign currency allocations, they buy assets, the rest of the population suffers the inflation caused by the same money printing. Um, Fiat systems amplify inequality and they distort society. So you might be thinking, what's the alternative? What's our way out? And this brings us to Bitcoin and blockchain based assets. But before I talk about Bitcoin, let me finish the diagnosis of fiat, because if you understand the disease, you understand the cure. The fiat system fails because one, it allows unlimited money printing. Two, it centralizes power in the hands of a few. Three, it destroys savings. Four, it reduces trust. Five, it creates inequality. Six, it relies on human discipline, something history shows we simply do not have. So where do we go from here? What Zimbabwe needs, what the world needs is a money system that cannot be manipulated at the whim of politics. Um, a money system that is limited supply, decentralized control, transparent rules, uh, predictable printing, and no single point of failure. And that brings us to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the opposite of fiat. It has a fixed supply, 21 million ever. It is decentralized. No central bank can print more. It is borderless. No government can take your value without access to your private keys. It is programmable, and that enables it's enabling digital assets, smart contracts, and financial systems that work without middlemen. For countries like Zimbabwe, where trust in our money has been broken repeatedly, Bitcoin isn't just an investment, it's a lifeline, it's a shield, an exit. Crypto and blockchain technology allow ordinary people to store value, send money globally, receive it, earn online, build businesses, and protect wealth from inflation. We are living in a time when people no longer need to accept the failed rules of the fiat system. We have alternatives, we have options, we have tools, and this is why this show exists to help you understand those tools. So remember, the root of the problem is the fiat system, and the root of the solution is blockchain based money. Um, my name is Munyaradzi Togarepi. Thank you for watching the Tomorrow Money Show. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, subscribe, and join as we dive deeper into the future of money, the future you deserve. Um, until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and stay ahead.